I appreciate you coming out on a nice, cool afternoon. Today, there's a need for us to persuade our elected officials that a national referendum is required to eliminate poverty in the United States, and why all three levels of government, the federal, state, and the local community, is essential to eradicate poverty. I strongly believe the taxpayers can afford this by three main reasons. One, the federal government can afford it to make it, okay, we can afford it, put it that way. Two, states need to track accurate, unbiased metrics to actually get the data required to know what the county by county officials are to actually calculate the number of people in poverty. Third, local poverty affects all of us, directly and indirectly, with taxation, with crime, and with local charities. During and after the recent election, it's not really hard to persuade you that our kleptocrats in Washington, D.C. has made a wealth for themselves and has forgotten the lonely citizens in each and every state of America. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, in 2015, the United States has 43.1 million people in poverty. Mississippi stands alone at the bottom of the poverty level, and we're number 50th in the state. In our very own District 4 in Mississippi, Senator Palazzo has a total of 305,000 people living in poverty below the $24,000 threshold, which is for a family of four. It increases by 183,000 for children under the age of 18. And what the saddest statistic we have is that kids under the age of 5, we have over 14,000 kids living in poverty in the state of Mississippi. While doing this research, I was incensed that our United States Congress representatives actually spending our hard-earned tax dollars frivolously with so much fraud, waste, and abuse. The mandatory discretionary funds over the last 20 years have proved that the Department of Labor is not doing their job, nor the actions they need to do fast enough for the American citizens. According to PortonProjects.org in 2017, Public Perception versus Reality, Americans drastically believe, with this minuscule funding that's going on, is that 25% of the foreign aid is what we provide globally. Then they want to reduce it by 10%. But the reality is 1%, according to USA.com, in 2017, is only 1% of our federal budget goes towards foreign aid for global poverty. Now, the global poverty that they're talking about includes the United States. On foreign aid, our funding includes sending money to foreign companies. Those foreign companies is the World Bank and the United Nations. It is with blatant disregard that our Congress allows those folks to spend the money without having a true goal or true objectives with attainable goals. They just give them the money and they go where they want to go. So in the 1% of the $22.7 billion, that money is distributed globally and not within the United States. So therefore, the United States is not giving people out of poverty, even though we get lip service from our congressmen. Also, it's not cool for the congressmen, or not really high enough for people to do that. Unfortunately, there's just a few examples of what poverty is and why it's not being properly managed and controlled. Persuading our elected officials, we need to persuade our elected officials to fully support poverty, to rid ourselves of the entitlement society that they have created, why they get wealthier and we stay inferior. It's time to spread the word wealth by doing the following 3 items. Federally, we got to get away from CRAs, which is Continuing Resolution Authority, because that money is not followed, or does anybody know where that money actually goes. We actually need to get into a balanced budget amendment. And then we need to use the actual correct census metrics to include government assistance, because once you add the government assistance to the poverty, there are actually 35 million people who will come out of poverty. But the problem is that they will get into, lose their benefits. So we need to extend those for over that time. Also, we need to change the ideology paradigm in Washington, D.C. It's not Republican versus the Democrats. It's Americans trying to get out of and lifting ourselves up, and we're the richest nation in the country. How do we do this? We do this by reducing the national defense from $773 billion we spend annually, okay, to $523,000 billion, okay, over a 2-year period. According to Forbes.com, it says we need $550 billion to get everybody out of poverty in the United States. If we do that for 2 years in the defense fund, that's $500 billion, and plus the 2 years of not providing foreign aid, that's another $45 billion that we can take, and that gives us $545 billion that will get us closer to poverty, getting us rid of poverty, and then maybe extending into the 3rd year if needed. But if we do what we need to do, they'll take care of that. Now, I've demonstrated the ways that the new federal government could work this and fund poverty within the next 2-year period. But the states need to do their part too. County by county, they need to have accurate statistics. They need to provide candid, unbiased budgets to Congress and what they actually need in these areas of poverty. Third, they need obtainable, affordable education for the 21st and 22nd workforce. They need to provide lunch programs from preschoolers to 18 years old, and from 18 to 26 years old if the person's in full-time college. That's just a few more ways our government can resolve poverty within our own communities. Now, locally, we need to put people first again, and not government. Mayoral offices are accountable for what they need to do. They need to provide the detailed surveys. They need to provide safe housing, shelter, and food pantries. They need to combine all that into one area, sponsored by either large corporations or by the government. They must have law enforcement present to keep the peace and the law and order within those shelters, because people will steal from them. Local volunteers from schools, churches, and organizations need to provide help for them. In education at high schools, we need to teach education in high school for sex education. We need to tell kids and stuff that it's not okay to abort a fetus of the unborn. We need to teach them that practicing safe sex is a better alternative than having unprotected sex. Also, money management strategies. People need to know what a budget is. They need to know what the steps are to make themselves wealth and how to go forward to balance a budget and maintain a family. So in conclusion, it's extremely important to persuade you and inform your elected officials to support legislation on poverty. The United States, I've proven that within a 2-year period, the United States can get out of poverty within the United States and stop providing funds for global poverty. States and district representatives can use unbiased metrics to provide realistic budgets to Congress to enable the constituents to get out of poverty. Finally, with any luck, you are enlightened and energized to make a major difference in the world. Let's face it, the Department of Labor has failed us as citizens. Together, with our elected officials committed to the fight, we can actually eliminate poverty levels completely through the United States, through monetary objectives and attainable goals within 2 years. Along with personal sacrifice everyone will have to do during those 2-year period. Thank you for coming, and enjoy your afternoon.